do have like a situation where the deal has concluded. Everyone's been paid.
Okay.
The seller has not let go of the business at all. She's still, harping on inventory corrections. Inventory was handled outside of escrow. So she was given a check by the buyer at the day of closing. So she wants to go back and redo inventory, which has changed since, the close of escrow, which was about 10 days ago. And then she's also not handing over some of the accounts, like the Comcast accounts, which has the cameras on the property and the website accounts that receives online orders. She's wanting to ship them, so it's just bizarre. I've never had this situation before.
Wow.
Where no, it just, and so how do I give the seller a warning? In this case I represented the buyer, but do I get, what should I block them from emailing me because everybody's been paid, or do I go back to the seller and say, hey, you're putting yourself in legal jeopardy here, not by not turning over some of this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I might do would be I
It's like
have
the
an
stalker.
initial checklist, kind of a preliminary transfer checklist, business
Uh-huh.
transfer. It's a starter checklist for people, and I usually send that out as we're getting closer to closing. I send that out to them because it talks about transfer of the keys and transfer of the utility accounts and transfer of all these things. And I tell them this is just a starter checklist. You need to work together to determine all the accounts and everything else that needs to be transferred and do that. That's part of the training and transition period. So I think the buyer certainly should be jumping up and down saying, hey, I own this now. These are my
Oh yeah,
assets.
she is, but she wants, but she's insisting that I get back involved in policing all the stuff that gets transferred over, and I'm a little uncomfortable with that because it's starting to get hostile.
Yeah. Well, you can't do that. And that's where, like I said, I would send them a checklist of some kind that just says, here are the preliminary things that should be transferred. And you send that to both of them,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and with a message, hopefully this has already been done.
Mm-hmm.
And then as far as the buyer goes, yeah, it's not your place. It's not your job really to be a transition consultant. You have no way of confirming that all the assets are transferred, and the assets, I mean, it was in the purchase agreement. So the purchase agreement said basically, again, if you're using CAB, is all assets, tangible and intangible, used in the business are supposed to be turned over unless expressly excluded.
Mm-hmm.
So that would include the Comcast accounts, that would include everything. And past that, if the seller refuses to turn those things over or turn the website over, is not turning over, orders, or is wanting to ship orders and things like that,
Or in
I mean,
this
that's
case,
not the seller's
recipes,
place.
or recipes that
Yeah.
actually go to baking the
Rest,
actual
okay.
product. So,
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, at that point, then I would send the buyer the names of 3 attorneys.
okay.
Yeah, I can't, because at this point, I mean, that's out of the scope of what a business broker does, right? So you've done the job, you've gotten to the closing, you've done that, but you're not in a position to enforce whether or not a seller complies with the contract. I mean, if there's a breach of contract, that's a matter for an attorney. That's not a matter for you
Okay.
as a business broker, right? So yeah, at that point, I mean, I would start just kind of in the nice way with the checklist. Here you go. Hopefully you've already done this, but if you haven't, make sure you do not only this, but then anything else in addition to it, add on to it. But yeah, if things are getting hostile, I mean, the best thing you can do is send the buyer a name of 3 attorneys that might be able to help them out, and then you're done.
Can I email you for that checklist that I
Yeah, of
can?
course.
Okay,
Sure.
thank you.
Yeah, no problem.